here's part two. Alright, so I told you guys in the non-spoiler review that a main G1 Autobot got torn to pieces. It was, it turned out to be Ratchet. Ratchet got destroyed. The scene starts out, it's at night, and the Black Ops team there, I guess they still have the Energon reading drones, and they're using the Energon reading drones to find Ratchet. They see four, his hiding spot, and they just light him up. Like, it's insane. Then there's a little chase, and Ratchet's trying to plea, and he shows them the call Optimus made, and then they just light him up some more, and next thing you know, his leg is off, and then the Lockdown comes out. That's the first scene where Lockdown is introduced, and you see him talking to Ratchet. Ratchet's familiarized himself with Lockdown, which is what I'm thankful for. I'm glad, it's not just some, who are you? That kind of scenario. I'm actually glad that it's like, oh shit, it's him. Like, we're doomed. That kind of situation. And then Lockdown puts Ratchet out of his misery. And that's kind of how the movie starts off, before we're introduced to Mark Wahlberg's character. Mark Wahlberg's character, Kate Yeager, actually goes into a movie theater, I think, and he sees this big G1-like truck that's just sitting in the theater, and he gets the truck and he works on it a little bit. Next thing you know, it's Optimus Prime. So that scene was kind of good. Cade actually helped to repair some of Optimus's parts. They get to talking, they familiarize themselves and everything like that. And apparently one of his friends actually snitched on him, told the CIA, which probably told KSI, where Optimus was. And then you get to that part in the trailer where they actually go to his house, and they threaten. They end up threatening to kill his daughter, and then of course Optimus comes out and blasts, everybody, and it's a really good scene, good couple scenes. They actually revealed Galvatron pretty quick within the film. I thought Galvatron was going to come in at least at the climax, when you wouldn't expect him to, but nope, they just kind of shoved him out there in the beginning. And the fight between Galvatron and Optimus, it was disappointing. Even though there was a scene after that fight where Optimus tells everybody, hey, while I was fighting this robot, I sensed Megatron. Why couldn't there be any connectivity, with that during the fight? The fight should have been longer. Galvatron should have said a couple reminiscing lines from the previous 3 Transformer films to kind of make Optimus do that and be like, no, something like, I don't know, something like that before Lockdown comes in. And but that fight was really disappointing. Lockdown made his official entrance to the Autobots. He's a pretty good marksman. He shoots Prime, and then this is where I was talking about the beginning of the video. I was talking about how Lockdown was throwing hints. He was throwing hints at Optimus about him not being the center of the universe, and he brought up the creators. That's one of the ideas that they threw in there, that if they could take it right, it would be a baby step in the right direction to make this trilogy better than the last. And my idea within the whole film was Quintessence, but then I was thinking, no, Alpha Trion, no, there's different stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if the Quintessons are in there. But I was actually thinking Unicron walking into the movie, because it seems it seems pretty obvious to me. It does, because he's talking about the center of the universe, and technically Unicron is like OP. He's like the Brawly version of Transformers. He's unstoppable and he's OP, and it's crazy. But they didn't really say anything about that. Everything was kind of an indirect shot. But anyway, so I was really disappointed with Galvatron, because they pretty much instead of giving you that nostalgic feel, they kind of just twisted it around, and they ripped it up, and then they put it in the paper shredder, and then they try to bring it back out of the paper shredder and put it back on the drawing board and kind of rearrange it. How they said it was Galvatron was built by the humans with brainwaves from Megatron's head. Way to go, Michael Bay. Way to go. Round of applause for you. They got it. I mean, he's purple, he's orange. It would be a lot better if he transformed into the cannon. Maybe he'll transform into the cannon, because he doesn't die. I was actually quite surprised. He survives. At the end of the movie, before the end credit scene, he says, he's talking about Prime, like, until we meet again, Optimus, because I am reborn. And then he walks away, and it's like, yeah, they're definitely polishing him up. They're putting makeup on his face, for Transformers 5. He's definitely going to be the main villain, I hope, in that. But so let's talk about the Dinobots. Okay, we all know G1, right? Yes, we do. The G1 lineup was Slag, Sludge, Snarl, Swoop, Grimlock. But nope, they don't want to give us that nostalgic feel. What they want to do is, like I said, put it in the paper shredder and kind of purge it out of the shredder and put it back on the drawing board and rearrange it into their own little fiction. The lineup for Age of Extinction was Grimlock, Strafe, Scorn, and Slug. Who is Strafe? Who's Scorn and Slug? I mean, they got the dinosaurs correct, but they didn't get the names right. The only Dinobot that actually got his name right was obviously the icon, Grimlock. But Strafe, you can tell he's Swoop, but instead of him being a single head pterodactyl, he's like a three-headed pterodactyl. They all breathe fire. That's one thing they got down right. But they didn't speak. None of them spoke at all, and it was quite disappointing. You would have thought that Michael Bay would throw in a me, Grimlock, leader of the Autobots, or something like that, or something along those lines, something iconic that will make G1 fans say, oh my god, something like that. I mean, because they put that much G1 effort into the first Transformers. Why couldn't you double that with Age of Extinction? You already know you're walking into this with potential to have doubled the G1 nostalgia than the first one, but no, you didn't. And that's probably the reason why a lot of people didn't really like this movie that much. And there's a lot of mixed reviews about it, So, speaking of disappointments, remember the trailer? Remember the trailer? Remember the scene in the trailer where Grimlock is charging Prime and Prime hits him? Well, he screams and then he hits him. Well, he doesn't scream. He actually says something else, like, I forgot. But he does hit Grimlock, and that was probably one of the most disappointing scenes in the whole movie. How are you going to have Grimlock just get punched in the face and then that's it? All throughout G1, Optimus cannot tame Grimlock. The strength combined, the Dinobots, overpower Prime? How is it that Optimus Prime just hits Grimlock and then puts a blade to his neck, saying, "You're gonna fight for us or with us, or you'll die"? Number one, Optimus Prime was completely out of context in this film. I understand that he's fed up and he's pissed about how the humans are treating him. There's scenes where Yeager is showing them Ratchet being destroyed and Ratchet melting. And Prime is pissed. He is major pissed. The first time that caused Prime to, I think, that caused Prime to lead a mission into KSI and destroy everything. But I think that was pretty disappointing too, you know. And I guess the good thing out of all of that disappointment was the fact that they all transformed a couple times into their robot modes. They started off as their robot modes, then they all transformed. That was pretty good. So I guess I would kind of agree in which the Dinobots saved the second half of the movie, because to be honest, it was kind of dying a little bit without Lockdown coming back in. And you know, Galvatron had some scenes. He was commanding the Decepticons to get the seed, but it just wasn't enough. You know, I felt like there should have been a second fight with Galvatron and Optimus. You know, I felt like Galvatron should have helped Lockdown with Optimus. Then it would have been a handicap match, a tag team. You know, 2-on-1. You know, but nope. Nah. But I want to talk about quickly the boss fight, pretty much. The mother of all fights, pretty much. Lockdown versus Optimus. 10 times better than Optimus versus the Fallen. Obviously, because Revenge of the Fallen had a writer's strike and all that stuff, so they can't take all the blame. But yeah, but is it better than Optimus versus Sentinel Prime? In my opinion, no. I think it's on par, but I think that fight is a little. I think Optimus versus Sentinel is it's like an inch better than Optimus versus Lockdown, and that's simply because Optimus and Sentinel are using their own weapon. They're using their weapons like 100%. They're both going ham on each other. And then the score, another thing. The score of Dark of the Moon and the first Transformers was what really brought the emotion. You don't really notice the score that much in Transformers Age of Extinction, and that's pretty bad. And the composer is Steve Jablonsky, and like I said, I didn't really acknowledge it much in Revenge of the Fallen, and that's kind of the same thing with Age of Extinction. The first Transformers, and definitely Dark of the Moon, had the best scores, and they were great. But the fight scenes, they definitely keep getting better and better and better. Optimus versus Lockdown. Definitely, he stabbed Optimus, shoved him into a wall. You know, it was kind of like that Modern Warfare 2 moment where you get stabbed by Shepard and then the screen goes red whenever you try to pull the blade out. That was pretty much how Optimus was, and that's when Cade Yeager, thank God, stepped into his shoes and said, "Yo, I'm taking him down," and he tried, and then while he was trying, Optimus was getting pissed and going crazy. There's a lot of emotion between the Autobots. But there's a scene where Bumblebee gets pissed because of this commercial of them advertising the perfected Transformers. Just like that, Optimus gets pissed when they see Ratchet dying, melting, and then while he's got his own sword in his chest. Man. And that's pretty much it. You know, like I said in the previous, 8 out of 10. If I had to, 9 out of 10. But there's just so much. This movie had so much potential, and I feel like people would rate it much more better if they had actually done the series justice with their nostalgia of G1. You have the Dinobots. You have Grimlock. I mean, not Grimlock. You have Galvatron. You have I'm not gonna say Lockdown, but you have Hound. You have so many potential factors to make these 1984 G1 fans go back in time, but you didn't capitalize on them at all, you know? And it's actually quite a shame. I do want to say though, and the beginning credit is way different than the last three, because there is no intro with Optimus talking. But they do continue the tradition of having the end credits with Optimus talking. Optimus ends the movie by telling his Autobots they need to stay on Earth and protect, Yeager and all that stuff. Optimus blasts off into space and he says, "My name is Optimus Prime. This is a message to my creators. Leave planet Earth alone because I'm coming for you." Blasts off into space. And that's how it concludes. Now, what do I think about that? I mean, to be honest, Michael Bay I feel like he did two things. He set it up for a sequel, and then he set it up for someone else to take his position. Me personally, because he said he wasn't going to do Dark of the Moon, I feel like Michael Bay is just going to pull a Brett Favre, and he's going to come back, now they're saying that Transformers 5 may not happen in 2016, but he's going to pull a Brett Favre. He's going to come back, because once he realizes how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the reboot, is going to be horrible, he's going to be like, well, I lost all that money. Let's regain it back. Let's shoot Transformers 5 again. Nobody else can do it as realistic as he can. I mean, James Cameron probably could do it. I know he could do it. James Cameron probably has the potential to do better, especially with the plot and everything. Him and Spielberg tag teaming, that's like a dream, right? So I really hope that Unicron is brought into this trilogy. At least a secret ending, in Transformers 5 that brings about, Transformers 6. He's going to be the baddie of Transformers 6, I really hope. Galvatron, he better not die in Transformers 5 or 6, because he hasn't died yet in G1. So, they brought in Galvatron. They pretty much brought in the season 3 and 4 Transformers. So I really hope we do see, it would be nice if Rodimus came into the picture and Ultra Magnus came into the picture. And they could have, instead of having Prime die in Transformers 2, they could have done that in Transformers 5, have Prime die, and then Prime come back in Transformers 6, just in time for everybody to fight Unicron and all that stuff. That would have been a great idea, to be honest. I feel like Prime dying in the second one was kind of too early. It was like 9/11 jokes. It's too soon. So, and I know they're not going to advertise Prime dying again. The fans are just going to be like, oh, he's dying again. My personal hope for Transformers 5 is I really hope they bring in Nemesis Prime. I really hope they bring in Nemesis Prime. That would be great, and have Galvatron kind of like create him and overshadow him and teach him and everything. That would be perfect. And then have a little end credit scene with the ghost of Starscream. I don't know. Something that cool that will send 1984 Transformer fans back into time. That would be great. That would be perfect. That would be amazing, actually. Will I see this movie again? Hell yes. I will probably see it 3 more times, because it is that badass. The next time will probably be in 3D, because he shot the whole film in 3D. Why not? Why not? Hopefully Galvatron gets upgraded in Transformers 5. Like I said, Bay is going to return. He has no other choice but to return. Paramount wants only him to do the Transformers 5 and 6. Then you can get James Cameron for freaking the next sequel, not sequel, the next trilogy. You already got a third trilogy for Star Wars, so you may as well do, a third trilogy for Transformers. Transformers has that potential to do a third trilogy, a fourth trilogy, a fifth trilogy, and you're still gonna make like 1.2 billion per trilogy. Why not? You know, why not? But if I missed anything about this movie, comment what I missed. If you really enjoyed this review, like it up, subscribe to me, because I will be doing other movie reviews, and just comment below on what things you want me to review, figure, games, movies, song, albums, whatever, and I'm down for it. Anyway, I'm Optimus Prime 105, and I'm rolling out.